Good evening, everybody. You are watching and listening to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. That's on Long Island, folks. You can catch Monte and the Pharaoh on the YouTube Monte and the Pharaoh page, Facebook Live on the Monte and the Pharaoh page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Twitch TV, Monte and the Pharaoh page, RTF Sports Network every Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. with their anchor show. The repeat on Monday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., RTF Sports Network. Also catch us on Channel 115 every Tuesday from 8:30 to 9 p.m. and for early risers Saturday from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. Also catch us on Channel 20 Friday mornings on Channel 20. I'll repeat that again. That's Friday morning at 1:30 a.m. But this is also to talk about the opportunity of catching Monte and the Pharaoh on Anchor Network, where you can record and you can get your own podcast and do what Monte and the Pharaoh always dreamt to do and have this opportunity to bring out to you guys. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make your own podcast in one place. So once again, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh. Catch us every Thursday, 9 to 10 p.m. And catch us here on Anchor. Have a good one.
Hey, it's me, the mouth of the sound, Jimmy Hart. Hey, check out my new tag team, baby, Monte and the Pharaoh.
Hey, Jimmy, don't forget to tell them about Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Well, you know what, I would, but you already did it.
It's Monte and the Pharaoh.
With Monte and Pharaoh.
The Monte and Pharaoh Show.
Monte and Pharaoh, bro.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh. Monte and the Pharaoh.
The Monte and Pharaoh Show.
And you're watching the Monte and Pharaoh Show.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
With Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
It's Monte and the Pharaoh.
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 Monte and Pharaoh.
It's Monte and the Pharaoh.
And Monte and the Pharaoh. Oh, is it Monte and the Pharaoh?
Monte and Pharaoh.
The Monte and the Pharaoh Show.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
To the Monte and the Pharaoh Show. Next. And it's Monte and the Pharaoh, baby.
Watching Monte and the Pharaoh.
With Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh. Oh, what a run. Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Hey, cut the fucking music. When you want the best in professional wrestling, Long Island, there's only one place you're going to get it, right here.
Monte and the Pharaoh. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best. That, my friends, is just incredible. Monte and the Pharaoh.
You've got the future Hall of Famer, that rocker, Marty Jannetty, MJ in the house, and I'm sitting here with two more future Hall of Famers, Monte and the Pharaoh. We're doing that stuff and we're going to rock it.
Straight to the top. We're living this life, not just dreams. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast out of Indie Music TV here out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. At the board is our super producer, Matt. How are you, bud?
Still great.
Still great.
Wow, consistency. I like him.
How'd you like that Eric Sims interview?
Awesome.
Buddy?
That was good job,
Did
Eric
you learn
Sims.
anything about Eric Sims on that?
Yeah, I did. I learned lots of stuff.
Well, I want to know from our stars of this show what they think of Eric Sims. So let's get to it. In studio are WWE superstars. And it's okay to say WWE superstars. We don't have to name all the other places they were at, right?
No,
Gillberg and James Ellsworth, thank you guys for joining us.
Hey, it's my pleasure anyway. I don't know about his.
I just wanted to point out that I thought the Eric Sims interview sucked.
Okay. Do you know Eric personally?
Unfortunately.
Oh, this is rough.
Give me your best Eric Sims story.
Oh, my best Eric. Well, so I'm Nikolai Volkov was a good friend of mine because we're from Baltimore, Gillberg and I, and Nikolai made his home in Baltimore for years, and Eric used to work with Nikolai all the time, and so when I was in WWE, after I got released, Nikolai said, "James, you're going to be working with Eric Sims?" And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, that's how you know you made it in the wrestling business. You're working with Eric Sims now.
Wow, look at that.
Hey, what do you say? You know you're the best when you're with the ESS?
Putting this guy over. Holy
Nice
cow.
recovery there for an interview that sucked. Good job, James. Thank you. Very, very
I'll bring
good.
people down
He's
and
a
pull
nice
them
guy.
up.
His interview sucks. He's a nice guy.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, before we get to the interview, I want to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte The Pharaoh, Aqua Cherry. Our theme song is Straight to the Top. You can also catch their songs, Yes, Yes, Forever, and Seasons. Aqua Cherry's music can be found on Spotify, iTunes, Reverb Nation, or where music is sold. And we want to thank Wisteria Hall, led by the co-host of the Monte The Pharaoh show, Mr. Jimmy Farrell, along with his partner Bart Griggs. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, and Here Comes the Rain. You can also find their music on Spotify, iTunes, and Reverb Nation. Yeah. Guys, whether you know this or not, Monte The Pharaoh can be seen on YouTube, the Monte The Pharaoh page, Facebook Live on the Monte The Pharaoh page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV, Monte The Pharaoh page, RTF Sports Network every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. We are their anchor show. Channel 115, that's cable television, every Tuesday from 8:30 to 9 p.m. And for early risers on Channel 115, Saturday 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. And on Channel 20 on Friday at 1:30 in the morning.
Nice.
We'll be right back with our special guests, Gillberg and James Ellsworth, after this commercial break.
Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen here every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. Welcome to our special Saturday show with our special guest, WWE superstars James Ellsworth and Gillberg. Gentlemen, before we get to you, we got something called the juice. The Pharaoh likes to juice you guys up, get you ready, go over a little bit about your career, and then we'll get to this interview.
Go
ahead.
Bit perverted. You made
Pharaoh.
All right, fine. Well, let's hope that this bio is a little bit more accurate than the crap you pulled on me during the Sims episode.
Never know, brother. You never know.
Oh, God, I hope not. Well, I
You never
apologize
know
in
what kind
advance
of
in case he
shit I
decided
will
to
pull.
shoot on me, which he usually does. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a big glass of the juice for you folks at home. James Ellsworth Morris, born December 11th, 1984. Nice. Is an American professional wrestler, better known by the name in the ring as
Dude,
James
1984,
Ellsworth.
you're a baby.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
he's
I
a
know.
young
I feel
man.
so young.
Holy cow.
Look at Gillberg. Yes, he
Yes, he is.
I did not realize
He's a
you.
young man.
You could be my son.
Stop. No, he
could be.
couldn't. What?
He could be
What,
my
you're
son.
16 and you went whoops?
Well, I definitely could be
What are
your
you
son, for
talking
sure.
about?
Well,
okay.
you know, Gillberg did know my mom when they were teenagers.
Yeah, we
and
went
I'm
to school together.
And I'm a little concerned that he might actually be my
Wait a second.
Son of Gillberg.
Would you bring a bottle of wine and the sparklers?
Hey.
I can't anymore. This is awful.
I'm gonna hold on. Let me spray the sparklers. I'm gonna
Stop.
A lot of people are like, hey, wait a minute.
Wait.
James is a wrestler. You knew her. I'm like, yeah, I was a good guy, man. I was a good guy.
We're gonna move on with this. Let's get to
I
it.
feel like the juice just fell off the
Born in
table.
Baltimore, 1984. You were saying.
Yes, born in 1984. He's known under the ring name of James Ellsworth. He's best known for his tenure with WWE. However, he also competed on the independent circuit under the ring name Jimmy Dream. So it says here. Morris was born in Baltimore, Maryland, as he just mentioned to us off the air, being an Orioles and Ravens fan.
Which they suck, but that's okay.
Stop it. They don't. First of all, both teams have a pretty darn good history. Leave them alone. Okay?
Jets.
Yeah, you're going to compare the Jets to the both. Never.
The
mind.
Jets are still in the league. That's cool.
That's cold, bro. That's cold.
It's kind of surprising considering the last 40, 50 years. James Ellsworth also trained under the awesome Axel Rotten of ECW lore. Throughout most of his career, Morris has performed on the independent circuit under the name of, as previously, Pretty Jimmy Dream?
Pretty Jimmy Dream,
Nice.
that's right. Add the pretty
Okay.
in there.
You are pretty.
This is funny. Often part of a tag team with Adam Ugly. Pretty and Ugly. Pretty good. Pretty ugly.
Pretty ugly.
Pretty ugly.
I love that.
That's good. That is good.
They've won several regional championships throughout the northeastern United States. American Combat Wrestling, Big Time Wrestling, First State Championship Wrestling. Pretty Ugly debuted in 302 Pro Wrestling on their first show. I remember much more some other major things like driving Dean Ambrose absolutely insane, and also 3 wins over the phenomenal AJ Styles. Our first guest, if I may quickly, this is the awesome James Ellsworth.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
There we go.
Glad to be here. Like you
There
said,
we
beat
go.
AJ Styles 3 times, won a women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and eliminated
Well,
Braun
that was
Strowman
the greatest
from
of all, but we'll get to that. And, of course, I had to
Survivor
come up for air for Mr. Gillberg over here. Ladies and gentlemen, Dwayne Gill, born July 10th, 1959.
Man, you're old.
Are you? Are
58.
you?
58.
What? They got the year wrong.
Now you went to Wikipedia. They always got it
Is
wrong.
that what happened? You went to Never mind.
I go to more than just
Gotta
Wikipedia.
go to an encyclopedia.
I'm not a Wiki-
Wait a minute. Is there an
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know when
Gillberg?
he was actually born. I have to go by what I read, right?
Yeah, well,
you
that's true.
You don't look a day older than being born in 1959. So I don't believe that shit at all.
By the way, why don't you go on there and fix that thing and go, you idiots got my birthday wrong.
I ain't worried about
who
that.
He
cares,
doesn't
right?
know how to
Yeah,
use
who
a
cares?
computer,
Let
which
the
is-
idiots
Make
look
me
stupid
younger,
up
that's
here,
all right.
right?
Well, how old does that make you, though?
62.
You look in great shape.
Thank you very much.
God bless.
I still work
Absolutely.
out every day. And
You look
everything.
great.
Are you retired currently? It says here you're retired. I got to check with you.
I wrestled my retirement match with James Ellsworth.
I saw that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
My family begged me to quit. They saw the
Really,
movie The
man?
Wrestler, and it was like, wow.
Okay.
Dad, you gotta
They
get
say
out of
lose
the
the
ring.
sparklers? That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
You know, not that you mentioned a wrestler. What'd you guys think of that movie?
It's hard to watch for us because, I mean, it's so accurate. It's very accurate.
Is it
Yeah.
accurate?
Oh, yeah.
You know, Cornette had a coronary over that movie, saying that's not an accurate reflection of how traditional wrestling
Now,
is.
it's not accurate to modern day wrestling because now guys are like just playing video games in the locker room and pretty much behaving themselves for the most part in the locker room scene. But I mean, it's like just for the indie stuff they show in the movie.
Felt pretty damn real,
It felt
huh?
real, yeah.
Interesting. All right, if I may continue, because I would like to get the rest of the juice in. Otherwise, he's going to be thirsty.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right.
Farrow's got to have his FaceTime, guys. Sorry.
What? This is not. Oh, God. Holy ego, Batman. American retired professional wrestler, best known for his appearances in the WWF, obviously, back before they became the WWE, during the Attitude Era under the ring name Gillberg, a parody of then the rival promotion World Championship Wrestling's top star Goldberg, obviously. During his tenure in the WWF, and this is what I really remember, Gillberg became the light heavyweight champion. He would go on to hold the title for 15 months, becoming the longest reigning light heavyweight champion as recognized by WWE. Gillberg also managed to be ranked 120 in the top 500 of the PWI 500. This is one of my absolute favorite gimmicks.
Wait a minute, I don't the PWI thing. That's friggin' awesome, dude.
That's
I
incredible.
was in PWI
That's
every
great.
year. Yeah, I was in there every year.
That's great.
You know, because we growing up as wrestling fans at some point, right? You didn't have cable or whatever else, so get to see these other organizations. And when you were in the PWI Top 500, that was a big deal, man. That's a big
It
deal.
really was.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite wrestlers from the Attitude Era. I just love to watch this guy do his thing. Gillberg.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Got
baby.
it.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, I got a stat for you that'll get you. Go back to WWE, WWF, WWF. Longest reigning champions, singles champions. I'm number 8 of all time.
Wow, you hit the top 10 in a company that's been
Yeah.
around over half a century. Man, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome.
It is awesome.
If you
It's
remember when Lesnar beat it, they go, "Oh, you just beat Gillberg's record." And put him in 7th.
That must have...
Remember?
Yeah. Oh, my God. What do you
So
got for us, Mike?
I got my little 10 minutes of fame, you know what I mean?
You
I
got
love
a little more than that.
Let me ask you, you got more than that.
You got more than
You're
that.
a household name. Both of you gentlemen are a household name.
To us wrestling marks. Wait, I'm a wrestling nerd.
How you guys holding up through COVID?
You know, it's not too bad. Spending a lot of time with the family, which you don't get really a lot of chance to do when you're a wrestler. Like, I'm still an active wrestler, wrestle a lot on the independents, and leave home for days at a time doing tours. So, like, I've been really enjoying the time with my daughters and my fiance, and it's been easy peasy for me, honestly. Like, I know a lot of people out there are struggling. It's very hard, and it's very sad, and it's very frustrating. But for me, I've been blessed to get through it with ease, really, and I've been very lucky and fortunate.
How about you, Gillberg?
Me, I do construction, and I'm actually in the best shape of my life. I work out every single night. My son comes over and works out with me, and I feel great.
Wait a minute. You're still out there slinging sledgehammers on concrete?
Oh, yeah, man. I do all that stuff, man. I build you.
Wow.
Give me an empty lot, and I'll build your house. Dig the hole, everything.
Damn.
That's what I do for a living.
Sweet.
James, you just had a wrestling event in West Virginia, right?
Yeah, about 5 hours ago, it feels like.
I know.
Actually, about 12.
But what was it like? Was it outdoors? I mean, how was the fan reaction? Did people come? You know, considering what's going on.
Well, it was actually very cool. It was a drive-in show. It was outdoors at a theater, at a movie theater, but it was a drive-in movie theater. And
The fans sat in their cars?
Well, they pull up in their cars and they bring their own chairs, whether it's a steel chair or lawn chair or whatever, and sit the chairs next to their cars and watch the event. And they still did the meet and greet with social distancing and masks and everything. It was myself, Ricky Morton, Shane Douglas, Enzo Amore. We're all there. And, yeah, there was a lot of people there. A lot of cars showed up. They had over 100 cars. You know, some cars had 2 people, some cars had 4 people.
Wow, yeah.
But, I mean, it was very successful, and it was a great time. It felt like it was a little bit of normalcy there, like going to an indie show, meet and greeting with fans, having a match. Like, it felt normal. It was cool.
Wow.
Tell us when you started, Gillberg, about the WWE whole deal as an enhancement talent. How were you contacted by WWE?
Well, what happened was I was trained by my partner, Barry Hardy, and he was already up there doing jobs. And when he thought I was good enough, he took me up to the Monster Factory in New Jersey to Larry Sharp.
Pretty boy, Larry Sharp.
Larry sent a lot of talent up there. And we got in the ring and we're wrestling, and I was actually wrestling Glenn Ruth, Thrasher. And as we were wrestling, I do a thing where I can come in the hard way, you know, from the outside of the ring, but I can go all the way across the 20-foot ring, hit, and go out the ropes. And Larry came out of his office. I still remember the Godfather was coming out with him. They were coming out of his office, and Barry did the slingshot, and I hit and went out the other side. And Larry goes, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Wait a minute!" And we were like, "Yeah, what?" And my God, there's Larry Sharp standing in front of me. I'm like, you know what I mean? It was the first time I really saw a big star. And he goes, "I don't believe I saw what I think I just saw. Can you do that again?" And we're like, what? And he goes, "Come in the ring the way you did." I said, okay. So we got outside, and I got on the outside, and we started doing the fighting like. And he goes, "No, stop all that. Just come in the ring." And Barry went, boom, bam, and I hit, boom. And when I hit, I stood right up and leaned on the ropes like that. I go, "Is that what you wanted?" And he goes, "You can go."
Wow.
Just like, and I mean, to be honest with you, I was such a fan that I didn't really get Wrestling Was Fake till probably my 5th match.
What? Really?
Yeah. Man, I still remember training Barry showing me a punch. I'm going, "Man, are you kidding? Come on, don't mess with me, man, like that." And he's going, "Dwayne, that's it."
So
that's
now,
it, buddy.
did you both grow up wrestling fans?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh.
I've been watching wrestling since I can remember.
So what makes you both go, okay, this is the path I want to go on with my life?
I personally, like I said, I've been a fan my whole life. I can't remember not watching wrestling. And at the same time, I can't remember not wanting to be a wrestler. So it's been like a whole life's journey. Like it's all I've thought about. It's all I've ever loved. Like as a, something I wanted to do as a profession. And yeah, just since I can remember, I wanted to do it and have watched it and have loved it.
Tell them about the elementary school deal.
This
is how far back we go.
This is a great story. It's a
that
true
you guys
story.
go together.
Yes.
Yeah, listen. This
so
is no lie.
I was 9 years old, in like 5th grade.
I'm up doing jobs at WWF.
Right.
I see him wrestle Owen Hart on Monday Night Raw doing a job as Dwayne Gill. And the next night, I go to my elementary school. I'm 9 years old. And he's up on a ladder, like
I was
fixing
a maintenance man for the school
fixing
board.
a light.
Right.
And I said, Mr. Dwayne, he knows my family, my uncle, my mom and my dad. I said, Mr. Dwayne, like, aren't you a big wrestling star? Why are you working at my school? And he looked at me, and I was 9 years old, and he goes, you'll understand one day.
Oh, my
nice.
God.
Little does he realize.
Crazy.
Don't worry, kid.
Yeah, like, and... Like,
You'll
You changed
understand.
light bulbs together? What are you talking about? I'm so confused.
Well, first, Dwayne, we've got a personal friend, Bill Pierce. I think he worked as
Oh,
enhancement
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you knew Bill?
Sure.
Back
Bill,
in the
he's a good
day?
friend of mine. Yep.
Yeah, so Bill's still going at it, too, in the independent circuit. He's a good guy.
Awesome.
So you both were trained Larry Sharp, Icon, and then Axel Rotten on your end.
No,
Yeah.
Barry Hardy trained me.
But
Larry Sharp did not
But you went to
train
Larry
me.
school, right?
No, Barry Hardy trained me in his basement on this right here.
On that.
Concrete and a half-inch piece of padding with a piece of carpet on top of it.
No wonder you thought it was completely real for a while. You're
Yeah.
being bounced off concrete.
You know, I still remember when the first time I wrestled the Road Warriors. I was standing there and an Animal come in the ring and he looked across at me, man, and he went, man, I backed up to Barry. I went, oh my God, Barry. Man, these guys know this stuff is fake, right? I didn't say stuff, though. And he goes, get out of my way. And he's going, I'm going to break you in half. Man, I swear you can ask my partner, Barry Hardy. I'm going, dude, shut up, man, shut up, man. And then I remember when it was my turn to get in, I got in, and Hawk pushed me back in the rope, and he goes, clothesline, brother. I was running the ropes, looking back going, he talked to me. I swear to you, man. I swear to you. My philosophy with wrestling is this. You know how fans are called marks?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The true mark is the wrestler. Because think about it. A fan is smart enough to go, I'll pay my $10, $20 and sit out here and watch these guys kill each other. The mark is the guy that goes, I don't care how much it hurts, how much I pay, how much I got to do. I want to get in that ring and do that. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But it's
mean,
also-
that is the mark. And to me, to this day, wrestling, people ask me, and I go, man, wrestling is my life.
Yeah.
It's everything to me. And it sucks what's happening to it.
Do some wrestlers, it seems to me like when some wrestlers come in, they seem very, very a fan first as they're breaking in.
Yeah.
They're still a fan, so they're
Yeah.
obviously going to have their mark out. He talked to me. Like,
Yeah, I watched Dusty Rhodes start and all. I had standing reservations at the Eddie Graham Sports Arena in Florida. Watch him, Eddie Graham, Mike Graham, everybody you can think of start,
Have you watched certain guys go from the wrestling fan to the huge superstar and then just turn into complete assholes?
And
lose
also,
their
I
love?
watched them become superstars and then become my friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the coolest part.
Right.
I used to sit in the locker room, and Randy Savage would look at me and go, What? And I'm like, Randy, you're you. That's the funny part, man. You're you.
Right.
It isn't like you would go, oh, yeah, do his thing, and then come in and go, hey, so, Dwayne, how's it going? He was like, what's up, brother? And I'm like...
But you
I
think
couldn't
everybody-
handle it,
you guys
man.
did you guys lived your gimmick a little bit too, right? It was an extension of both of you, no?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, me personally, like, he didn't know wrestling was fake until what? He said it was his 5th match. Me personally, I think I was 11, and my mom goes, Santa Claus isn't real, the Easter Bunny isn't real, that dollar under your pillow for your chief, that's not from the Tooth Fairy, that's from me. Oh, yeah, and by the way, that wrestling crap you watch, that's fake, too. And I was like, what?
Speaking of your mom, right? So you love the sport, and then at what point do you say, hey, Ma, I'm going to be a wrestler? And what does she say to you?
Well, I've been, I told them my whole life, my parents, I want to be a wrestler, I want to be a wrestler. It didn't really hit them until I graduated high school when I was 17, and 4 days later, like, how when you graduate, you get money from relatives and friends, you have a party, and they get, so it was like $2,700. And wrestling school was $2,500 in Baltimore, where Axel and Bone Breakers, where I went, where Axel was training at. And I said, all right, I want to take this money and I want to be a wrestler. My parents were like, at the time I'm 5'8". I haven't grown an inch since. I'm still 5'8". 125. I'm about $170 now, so I did put on some pounds. And they're like, you're 5'8", 125, and you want to become a wrestler. And you're going to spend all this money on it. He's like, you're going to spend this money to break your neck and get hurt. And they're like, no, you need to go to college. And I was like, I'm going to wrestling school. And 4 days later, after I graduated, I took that money and went to wrestling school.
So you go to the school, you start your training.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a point that you're like, I maybe shouldn't have done this, or you're just like, you're all in?
I was all in. I remember the training was hard, especially this is 2002. It was still harder, like in that era. It's a lot easier these days, I think, and it's not a good thing to get into.
He came in when we were still killing the guy. You had to pay your dues.
Yeah, and I remember
you got your ass kicked, man.
Yeah, like
excuse me.
One day after training, I remember we're all sitting at a Burger King, a bunch of trainees. And they're all like, "Man, this is really rough. This hurts. This is, this ain't fake at all. You take a pounding." And a couple are talking about quitting. I remember looking at them going, well, "I ain't quitting. I just spent $2,500 on this. I ain't quitting."
Right? Did Axel? It's interesting being trained by an ECW legend rather than the traditional training. I mean, what was it like being trained by Axel Rotten? Were you like taking practice chair shots and going through tables? I mean, what was the curriculum being trained by an ECW?
Well, that's the thing. Like, the people think of Axel Rotten, and he became popular off of like the Taipei Death Match and the hardcore chair swinging freak and all that. But Axel was a great worker in the ring. Right. Like, he worked the territories, Memphis with Lawler and all that. If you go back and find any of that film on Axel Rotten, he was a great worker in the ring.
Oh, his psychology was second to none.
And he was. If you can look for interviews from Paul Heyman or like Raven or Jake Roberts putting over Axel for having great psychology, having a great mind for the business, and I was very fortunate to get trained by him and become his friend and go on the road with him a little bit on the indies. And
your thoughts on him when he passed?
Well, that's the thing. Like, he had his demons. I'm very blessed to, like, even though he had his demons, I never got into that stuff. And him and we became just great friends. And anytime he would get into that stuff, he knew I wasn't about that, and he would take a break from talking to me or speaking to me, and like, because he would go in like spurts. Like, he would go 2 months without doing anything, and in that 2 months we would hang out, go to the movies, go to wrestling shows. Like,
well, that's what I was going to ask you, right? Because it's like, you're in the wrestling school. Let's say he's training you. I mean, was there a point like you went into his office? And
no. When he was doing that, when he was training, Axel was straight. Axel was straight. Now Axel actually helped part we all learned together, me, Axel, Barry, and all of us, and we started MCW together, and I had a Monster Factory for a long time. He trained at, and then Danny, who owns Bone Breakers and all, was one of my students, and then I became more famous and couldn't have my school no more, so Danny started Bone Breakers, and Axel was like, "Man, let me show you what to do, Dan," and Danny was smart enough to say, "Yeah," so Axel got all that together and helped Danny out and got everything to,
when he was training people, he took it seriously.
Was a brain, man. It's a damn shame. I'm serious. He was so smart. If you could have sat down and picked his brain, you would have been like, my God, this guy's brilliant. If he could have not had the demons, we were talking about it on the way up here, I guarantee you, he would have been Triple H. He would have been, he would have been up there. He would have been unbelievable. You really would have.
Were you two able to avoid the pitfalls of this business, the drugs, the things that come with it?
Jimmy, this is the God's honest truth, is the true straight-laced person. He's never smoked nothing, snorted nothing, taken nothing.
Not even a special hash brown?
I have my occasional beverage.
He really is the straight-laced
And you told us before the interview that you like Italian food.
Yes, I do. My fiance's Italian, cooks Italian dinners all the time, and I love it. And so I can't wait to.
But how about you, Gil? Were you into the extra?
Well, I never got into the coke and all that, but yeah, I smoked.
Might have smoked a few sparklers. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
smoked a few of them, I'll say.
Sparklers. Very nice. Very nice.
So maybe I smoked your share and his share and his share. Hey, put it this way, man. Me and the Godfather are brothers.
Okay.
What did the WWE pay you in the 90s as enhancement channel?
Enhancement. We made $250 a night. Well, but I made it up to $500 a night. Plus they paid your hotel. Plus they gave you travel. On a 3-day deal, I would usually come home with about $2,500.
And how often did you work for them at that point?
Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks they did 3 days. They did Raw. I think it was Tuesday night main event or Saturday night main event, and then was it
Superstars, right?
Superstars, yep.
That's not bad for a couple of minutes.
No.
Right?
It was great. It was great. You know, it really was. And I used to take 10 and 12 people at a time up there. I used to get a van and come on, guys, all my students went up there and everything. Yeah, and we all met Larry's students, who was Glenn Ruth, D'Lo Brown, all them. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this: a lot of people bitch and moan about the WWE being this billion-dollar enterprise. And, you know, you're one of the older wrestlers, and they feel that some of these guys who made Vince McMahon all this type of money should have gotten, like, pensions and 401ks and all this. Where do you stand on that?
It'd be nice. But to tell you what it's like and the locker room was like back when I was in there, I was a jobber. I was a broke-ass wrestler, you know what I mean? And I was up there working, and I had been on, they had us on for like a week. And I had like $5,000 in my bag, and I came back after a match, and it was gone.
Oh, Ace.
Now I'm freaking out, right? It's in WWF's locker room, not WWF. Mm-hmm. I'm freaking out, and I mean I'm crying, man. I'm like, my God, there's everything, my bills, everything, man. What am I gonna do? Vince sees the tape, walks over, he goes, what happened? I said, Mr. McMahon, I had this money right here, and it's gone. He said, calm down, Dwayne, calm down. He walks over to Chief, see him talking to Chief. Chief walks over and goes, here you go. Vince walks back and goes, I'm sorry that happened in my locker room.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why.
You said Chief J. Strongbow?
Oh, yeah, Chief J. Strongbow, of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, they pay you very well.
Very well,
it's
man.
It's up to you to save the money and all that. I mean, pensions will be nice and health insurance. But the thing is, you get paid so much, you can get that on your own. Because they like, anybody that, like, it drives me nuts when guys cry about what they get paid up there. Like,
ridiculous.
You
money.
get paid, like, man, I remember my first, like, month's paycheck there was more money I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, and so when I see, like, other wrestlers go on Twitter, and I hate Twitter and all that, when people cry and complain on there, that's not where you handle business like that, just in my humble opinion. And I'm like, man, what are you talking about? Like, you're making a lot of money. You can, like, way more than the average person. That's what I think about. The average guy makes, what, $40,000 a year? In WWE, you can make that in a month or two. Even, like, the smallest guy can make that in, like, at least 4 months. You know, it doesn't take you a whole year at all to make that.
So, I guess, you know, you're in the newer age of wrestling, right? Where people probably got paid a lot more. You're kind of in the middle, but a lot of them, you know, like maybe a superstar Billy Graham, right? A guy who maybe built the business.
Wonderful.
Right? You know, who's pretty much just broke now with tons of medical problems.
Right.
I mean, do you think there should be a difference between those guys, those legends who helped build the business?
I really feel that they made their money.
Yeah.
But they spent it.
Right.
Can I say something?
You can say everything.
Made a shit ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm broke. Why? I raised my cost of living, right? In other words, I lived at a $60,000, $70,000 living.
Okay.
I got that job, you know, the contract, boom, I jumped up $300,000-$400,000 a year living. New cars, new boats, new house, new this, new that. You lose your job. You're back down to $70,000. But you're still living at $300,000-$400,000.
Yeah.
So
fast forward 7 years later, you're like, what do you mean declined?
Right.
I got, that was years
in hindsight,
ago. I ain't got that no more.
You almost wish in hindsight you had stayed in your
if I'd have stayed
regular apartment and taken the money and put it in the bank.
If I'd have stayed where I was, I wouldn't be working today. I wouldn't be out doing construction. I definitely made Vince and the WWF took more than good care of me when I was in there. You know what I mean?
But your point is, you spent it.
Yeah, you just spend it. What happens is, I always wondered, how is he broke? How is he broke? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do drugs or none of that.
Okay.
I just lived at a higher lifestyle than the money I was bringing in. But when I started living that lifestyle, I was bringing in a lot of money.
Right.
And like I try to explain, I hung out with millionaires, but I was a thousandaire.
Right. Understand.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
You know, and it just, next thing you know, you're living life and you're like, it's gone. What happened?
You're a human being, man, right?
Some people are very, very smart and save their money.
Well, yeah.
So, James, do you have enough money in the kitty that you could call it a day and maybe just chill out the rest of your life?
Well, you have to be smart with it, like you said. Like I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, 2 daughters, and I mean, here's how I'm dressed. These shorts were free, the shirt was free, the hat was free. Like I don't need anything from me. Like I have what I need.
See what I mean?
And
yeah, he's careful with his
He stayed where he is.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like I'm gonna make sure my daughters get what they need for the remainder of the time.
Are mom and dad still with us?
What's that?
Your parents, are they still?
Oh,
with us?
yeah.
Yes.
So do you ever turn to them and go, "That's $2,500 or
Oh yeah. They,
you must rub that in.
You know it.
But yeah, they.
By the way,
You know that.
They ate crow with that one. Yeah, it was very fun.
when you debuted with the WWE and you took that vicious beating from Braun Strowman, right? You go behind the curtain afterwards. Did it occur to you at all that what you had just done was going to...
Well, here's the story. So, it's a great story, and I'll make it quick. But, so I'm in Gorilla, and the match before me was Sasha Banks. She just won her first women's title right before I went out there and wrestled Strowman.
Okay.
So, enhancement talent, like they're like, yeah, you're going to go kind of through the crowd and around to the bell keeper's table where they have the bell and all, and you get in the ring that way. You don't go down the ramp. So, like, Sasha Banks, I was a big fan of Sasha Banks, and still am. And so she won the title, comes through the curtain. I'm watching Stephanie McMahon hug her and Triple H hug her, and I'm like about to wrestle Strowman next in that match. And they're like, kid, you got to go. And I forgot that they told me to, like, go down the side of the ramp and walk through the crowd and go. I walk down the ramp.
Straight down the ramp.
So and this is a good point to the story later. So I go straight down the ramp, and the referee's looking for me, and he's like, "Where the hell?"
Where's the kid?
So I get in the ring. And he's like, "You know, you weren't supposed to walk down the ramp." I was, "Oh yeah, man, I forgot. I'm sorry." Like I apologize to the ref in the ring. This is during the commercial break or whatever. So it's time to do the promo with Byron Saxton in the ring. Do the promo, and like as a performer, you know right away if the promo is good or not in your head. Like it was, and when I was done, I was like, man, I think I really nailed that.
Yeah,
like, it just felt good.
You did.
And then like when Braun came down, and I'm like, to me, I thought this was going to be my only match in WWE ever.
Right.
Like it's not like Dwayne's days where they had enhancement talent every week. Like, and they had the same enhancement talent every week. They because the way they do it now is the different towns they go to, they use the guys in that town. So. I do the match with Braun, and when I was over with, I was like, man, I think I really felt like I did good, and you don't think that all the time. And I was nervous. It's my first time in a WWE ring, and so I get to the back, and Arn Anderson was the producer. He goes, James, you did a hell of a job. He goes, Vince wants to see you, and I was like, Vince wants to see me,
Sweet.
And I'm thinking Vince is going to chew me out for walking down the ramp.
Right, logical.
And I'm like scared. I'm about to pee my pants, this and that. So I go up. I go up to the Gorilla, and Vince and Triple H are coming down the stairs of Gorilla. He's like, James, come here, and he's looking for me. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna chew me out.
No, he's shocked he even knows your name, right?
I guess he, he just was watching the show. It was at his head right there, and he goes, James, come here. And I'm like, man, he's gonna yell at me about the ramp. I'm in my head, I'm coming up with my apology. I'm like, and I just got excited. I'm sorry, and he's like, you did a hell of a job. You cut a hell of a promo. You sold really good. He goes, I'm going to hire you.
Wow.
And I thought he was just kidding. I laughed. I said, oh, thanks, sir. He goes, no, I'll be in touch. And Triple H shook my hand. He said, yeah, he'll be in touch. We promise.
So at that point, are you thinking, I better get myself a lawyer to negotiate a contract?
And so,
I mean, do you go out to the car and throw your fist in the air?
So yeah, the car.
Come on.
So the car. The car gets real interesting. I'm in the back.
This is it here. Watch.
Yeah, I'm eating catering all of it until the show's over, and I'm not saying a word to anybody about what Vince said to me.
Sure.
So I get in the car and I just start like all these thoughts are going through my head, and my phone's blowing up with all these memes and stuff of me. And then I get a call. I had a friend there that was a referee, and he's still there. And he said, "Hey, Chris Jericho wants to talk to you." And I'm like, "What?" And Chris Jericho gets on the phone. He said, "Dude, you really did an amazing job. He said, that's the best enhancement talent job I've seen in a long time. You did it." Wow. And then, like, Enzo Amore gets on the phone, and he said, "You're going to be a star. I was in Gorilla and watched Vince react to you. He's like, you're going to be a star." And I'm like, who's ribbing me? This is a great rib. Well, so I'm driving to, like, we had Buffalo as an extra the next day for SmackDown. We had Buffalo. And I'm, like, driving to Buffalo from Pittsburgh. And I'm like, man, what's going on? Like, what? I'm, like, laying in bed that night. Couldn't sleep. I'm like, what? Is this real? Like, am I going to wake up?
Yeah.
And the next day, I walk in, and one of the cameramen there go, "Hey, like, Vince is high on you. He's, you're going to be here soon." And so, yeah, I leave that night, and I'm like, what? So every week they would contact me for 6 weeks straight, contact me with ideas. And 6 weeks goes by, and I'm like, man, they're not doing anything. It's been 6 weeks. And then finally they call me, and I do SmackDown the first time, and then the rest is just history. He kept his word. He told me he was going to hire me, and he did. Like, it's that cool.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Be right back.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced at Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. We have our special guest, WWE superstars, Mr. James Ellsworth and Gillberg. Thank you, guys. Love it. So, James, I'm going to hit you with a hard one. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Boy. All right.
Can you talk about the whole sexual harassment problem that you had with that 16-year-old?
Well, here's the thing. So, I've never been investigated for anything in my life. I've never been arrested for anything in my life. I've never been charged with anything in my life. I also have never put anybody in a position they didn't want to be in. I feel bad for anyone that's ever been put in a position that they don't want to be in, but that wasn't a true story. That was a fabricated story, and it was very untrue. And again, it's been a couple of years now, and I feel bad for anybody that goes through that. I know there's a lot going on the internet right now and all that, and the stories that are true, I feel bad for those people, and I hope they get the justice they deserve. But at the same time, there's people that tell untrue stories, and I feel bad for the people that have been through that as well.
Describe your emotions when you're accused of this, knowing damn well this is a bunch of BS.
It's hard, man, because you can't defend yourself on the internet when you're a celebrity, because people...
They want to believe it.
They want the dirty truth and not the clean story.
Right.
And, me, I'm a father of two daughters, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I'm always going to teach them, if someone's putting you in a situation where you're uncomfortable, you tell them right away. And if they don't stop, you come to me, or you go to the police, or you go to their parent, or you go to someone right away. You get in front of it. You don't dwell on it, and you don't go to Twitter, and then, because if you go like on the internet and you say, "Oh, this person did this," and then people reacted to it, and you feel like you're empowered because these people are reacting to it. So then you're gonna continue with it, like the story, and it starts getting fabricated and untrue because you're feeling powerful because these people are reacting to you. So, like I said, I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. My kids live with me. I'm a father, and like I'm going to tell them, you have to get in front of that right away, and you got to take care of it. You can't let people put you in any situation you don't want to be in. And again, I can say with an honest hand in the air, I have never done that to anyone. I will never do that to anyone. I'm engaged to a beautiful woman. Her next birthday is her 30th birthday. She's very beautiful. You can look her up on social media. My daughters live with me, and it sucks when people are put in those situations, but I have thick skin. I'm very blessed with that, and I just move on. It's been a couple of years. Nobody can argue my record. Anybody can look anybody's record up, and I feel like if people feel like they've been put into the position, then you seek the justice that you deserve. You go to the police. You go to the authorities. That's what you do. And because nobody should ever be put in a situation they don't want to be in.
Well, because both of you, two different eras, right? So, in the '90s, what was it like for women's wrestlers, Gillberg? Was it difficult for them? Were they harassed? I mean, we had Tito.
No. They weren't harassed at all.
Were they treated
in
with
the '90s?
respect?
Actually, the women's locker room and stuff like that was taboo. You didn't go near it. You didn't mess with the women. You didn't touch the women. And
how is it now, James? Is it that way now?
Well, I was very blessed to work with the women in WWE,
Sure.
and
Okay.
I don't think any of them have ever said a bad word about me, to my acknowledgement, right? Like, and I had a blast working with them, and they had a blast working with me. There was never an issue. Carmella, for instance, I mean, we work together every day, and no, they don't. They're very well protected at WWE. Like, they have their own locker room. The men have their own locker room. There's no they don't seem uncomfortable at all, and I had a blast working with them. Some of the most talented women in the world, like I said, it doesn't seem like there's anything crazy going on there to me when I was there, and I worked with the women every day. So
you mentioned Carmella. Can you speak about your relationship with her? How was it working with her?
I always tell everybody she's a very intelligent woman. What I mean by that is she knows. If she feels like she's getting stale or something's not working, she hurries up and reinvents herself and fixes it. Like, there was a point where she had blonde hair and she dyed it, brunette for a little bit just to change herself up.
Right.
She always wears different gear for the pay-per-views. She actually pitched the idea for me to be with her to Vince herself. That was her idea because she wasn't doing anything at the time. She was feuding with Nikki Bella and just doing jobs to Nikki Bella. And that was about to be over, and the stuff with AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, and myself was about to be over, and she was like, pitched the idea to Vince, well, what if you put him with me, and I use him to win matches? I manipulate him and to help me get to, the women's title. And it was an outstanding idea. Again, she's an intelligent woman, and it worked out for her. It got her to where she wanted to be. It made her a bigger star. I helped her become a bigger star. Mm-hmm. And to this day, if I text her, she texts me right back. In May 9th is my 8-year-old's birthday. She loves Carmella, so I asked Carmella to make a video to send to my daughter, and she did it right away. So she's awesome to me, and I've always been awesome to her. And she hasn't done much lately on TV, and I always root for her. Like, I'm hoping something happens soon with her, and she moves on to a big storyline and continues to do well, because I think she's entertaining. I think she's a hell of a talent, and again, she's very smart, so something will happen soon with her.
I'm a big fan of the women's division, have been. Pharaoh, on the other hand, is kind of iffy on it.
It depends. I like some
You
of them.
guys weigh in. Do you feel that maybe the women's division, the push of the women, have hurt the industry, or what are you guys' opinion on that?
No, I think who's ever over is over. Who's ever popular is popular, whether it's a man or a woman. Becky Lynch, at the end of 2018, going into 2019, was the most popular wrestler on the show. Was Becky Lynch. She got white hot. It was cool when Nia Jax accidentally hit her and broke her nose. It was cool for her, because the blood, and she's up in the fans and doing a pose, and blood's coming down her nose. And I'm like, oh my God, she's the biggest star in the business. And it had nothing to do with her being a woman. It had everything to do with her being a talented wrestler and a talented performer. And she took that all the way to the main event of WrestleMania. To me, and I love Charlotte, I do. I thought, man, Ronda and Becky, this is what people want to see. Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch 1-on-1 in the main event of WrestleMania. And it's cool that Charlotte got to be a part of that history, and I understand it. 'Cause in my humble opinion, I believe it's because Becky and Charlotte are going to be there for years, 10 years plus. So you put Charlotte in that spot because she's your girl. Ronda is there to help the women's division, get more over because she's a huge star around the world, and that helped.
I always felt they put Charlotte in there because they were afraid that Ronda wouldn't be able to hang in there with Becky, and they needed a buffer in case that happened.
Well, yeah, that's a good opinion. I really just believe it's because they wanted the history of that women's first main event of WrestleMania to feature two of their girls.
I honestly was hoping for Charlotte versus Ronda 1-on-1.
Yeah, they wanted up getting to that, right?
I wanted Flair at WrestleMania. I wanted those two to just go at it 1-on-1.
So, but to go back to your point, so I don't think it's hurt the industry. I just think who's ever over is if a woman is more popular than a man, then that woman needs to be on the top of the card. If a man's more popular than a woman, then that man has to be on top of the card. And that's why Becky got to the top of the card, because she was the most popular performer on the show.
What about you, Gil? What's your weigh in on this? I'm going to call you Gil. I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't mind that at all. That's what everybody calls it.
Gilberg's long.
Too much for my small
I
brain.
like a lot of the women,
What do you,
like Flair and all that. But I really, I hate to say it, but the Becky Lynch thing I didn't get. You know, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
I'm sort of with you on this
You're
one.
a woman,
okay.
you're a woman. Shut up. Oh, I'm the man. Oh, I'm pregnant. Hey, man, how you getting pregnant?
I don't think she was saying she is a man. I'm like, the man's kind of a saying, right?
I'm the man, I'm pregnant. That's classic.
You know what I'm saying? Come on.
I think the overall pushing the women's division has hurt the men's division.
I like the push of the women's division.
Do you think it's been a little forced, guys?
I don't think it's
How about
hurt
that? Do you think the women's division's been a little forced as far as the push? Because coming from someone who's been watching
it's been
so
a little
long,
forced. It's
feels
been a little forced,
forced.
but it's also drawn a lot of new fans.
Like, for example, when Ellsworth won the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match, you got some major heat.
Oh, yeah.
You're awful, you lousy man. I hate you, man.
What we were going for. Yeah. And to your point there.
Loved it.
I take away that moment from them because I'll do anything for Carmella's the gimmick. Give her the briefcase. So people are
it was such a great moment.
And then on Twitter, like all the girls in WWE were tweeting about it, and I would retweet it, and like I told Bailey to go hug herself and all this cool stuff.
Go hug yourself.
Yeah,
that's
and
great.
Was there talk by the WWE to make you kind of the new Andy Kaufman and you getting into the women's division and challenging?
There was talk of me doing that, and I wanted to do it.
That would have been great.
And Gillberg managing you. That would have been great.
I would love it.
We would love to do that.
I really think that would be one of the things. They need entertainment up there.
Yeah.
But right after that,
we could entertain the hell out of a crowd, man.
Right after that Money in the Bank, though, like they always knew they were going to do the second one.
Okay.
And that's business. So going into the first one, we knew we were going to do the second one, the whole storyline where they strip Carmella of it and we do another one. And they were like, this is going to pop a rating on SmackDown. Because this is controversy, and controversy creates cast. It creates ratings. So they did. They popped the rating on SmackDown. Like I think it was like 600,000 more people watched SmackDown that week than the previous week.
Right.
And I wish I wrestled Becky Lynch 4 months later, right on SmackDown, 4 or 5 months later after the Money in the Bank. I remember she pitched to wrestle me at SummerSlam, which would have been a month later. I wish they would have did that because the heat is fresh at that moment.
She pitched to wrestle.
Yes.
Very interesting.
And Becky's great, man. Becky, she became as popular as she did because she's very smart. She's so awesome. She's a great performer, but she knew the heat was there. And she was about to win the contract, and I pushed her off the ladder, so the story's there. Like, have her and I wrestle each other, and we did 4 or 5 months later. But they were like, I think they were iffy about it at first. Like, I don't know if we should have a man wrestle a woman. They didn't know. But like, here's my take on intergender wrestling. Like, I'm not against it.
Man wrestle a woman?
I'm not against it when you have a character like Gillberg who wrestled Luna Vachon.
Right. There you go.
Or you have a James Ellsworth character who 5'8", 170. I don't look like a threat to a woman, right? So, like, if Becky Lynch has beat me up or Asuka's beat me up, like, nobody's going to blink an eye. They'll be like, yeah, that's what he gets. Yeah, Asuka's whooping his butt or Becky's... And nobody's thinking, oh, this is fake. Like, Asuka can't beat him up or Becky can't beat him up. Like, it makes sense. Like, so I think, like, there's...
Not like a Tessa Blanchard beating up...
like Brian Cage.
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
Tessa's awesome, and I love Tessa. You know, like, I'm... You know, I'm not against them wrestling each other, but like, you know,
unrealistic.
At the same time, like I personally, if I was booking that, Brian Cage would win. You know, but I'm not against them.
How about it would be over in
other.
5 seconds? How about that? I'm saying it, not you. I'm saying give me a break.
Like, I'm not against them wrestling each other, but like if I was booking it myself, like Tessa would put up a little bit of a fight, and Brian, you know, would win in the end. That's how I would do. But that's how I would book me versus Brian Cage. I would try, and he would kill me. You know. Same thing.
Makes sense.
Right. Gillberg, many times in the history, well, not many times, but several times in history, other wrestlers have attempted to do a takeoff of a successful, established pro wrestler. Some of them failed miserably, like the Nash and Hall deal with the fake Razor Ramon.
Fake Diesel.
However, it's the late 90s. Goldberg is basically the biggest thing going besides Stone Cold Steve Austin's. The ratings are through the roof. And I turn on the TV one day, and all of a sudden I see Gillberg. This has to be one of the most successful takeoffs on a wrestler I have ever seen. This was hilarious. Were you nervous when they came to you and said, you're going to be imitating that big dude over in WCW. Did you think to yourself, this guy going to be pissed at me?
I made it up.
You made it up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Tell us. I was doing it on the independents.
Nice.
And I was actually, got my contract and everything as Dwayne Gill, won the title, and I was on the Job Squad.
Okay.
And we were doing a house show, and I was talking to Percy and Kane in the back. And, telling them, I was making fun of the boys on the independents, man. I said I did the Underfaker. I said I did Stone Old. I took swim foams, those tubes, and made braces out of them, and all came out with a walker and everything, I did Stone Old. I was Stone Old Steve Boston.
Nice.
This
is great.
And then I did Gillberg. And and they're all like, ah, and then Percy goes, Gillberg.
Wait a minute.
Oh, Dwayne Gill, you may have something there, young man. And I laughed, and then every time I walked by him during the hall that night, it was Gillberg, Gillberg. Kane kept doing it, and Percy kept doing it. So the next day, I went to catering, and we're getting ready to do TVs, and I got my plate and all, and Percy done got the boys. The boys are going Gillberg, Gill. So I put the plate down. Went, ah!
There it is.
Everybody laughed and cracked up, and I thought that was it. So we did the tapings. Then I went home, and like Wednesday, I get a call, and they're like, "So I understand you do this Goldberg impersonation." I said, "Yeah, it's called Gillberg. It's kind of funny." And I said, "Good. Bring everything you got. You're doing it."
Wow.
And I went, "Huh?" And they went, "Yeah." I said, I don't want to lose my title, man. I said, I just won. I don't want to lose my title. And they go, that's the beauty of it. You're going to wrestle heavyweights. You're a light heavyweight.
Right.
And so the count goes -1, -2. I said, okay, you got it. I'll bring everything with me. So I came up there, and come the night of doing it, I'm okay. Everything's fine. And Vince comes up and he goes, so, Dwayne, tonight's the night, huh? And I go, yes, sir. And he goes, everybody's going to be watching you. I'm counting on you. And I go, yes, sir. And he walks away, and it was like, shit. I mean, everything I was done. And actually, I was worried. And Triple H came up to me about half hour for the show. And he goes, Dwayne, what's wrong, man? And I go, oh, man, Hunter, man, Vince did this. He goes, Dwayne. You're doing a parody. He said, remember when I did the croc and all that stuff? We were doing all. He said,
croc.
Man, you could go out there. It don't matter. He said, if you're walking down the ramp and you trip and fall, he said, roll down to the bottom and jump up and go, ah. He said, and you'll be fine, man.
That's right.
He said, you're just making fun of him. No matter what you do, you can't do nothing wrong. And I went, that's right. Oh, man. Yeah, you're right. And that took all the weight off me. And if you notice on the first one, I didn't realize it, but I had Chuck Norris gloves. And they got a steel bar across here. And I come out and I went, ah, wham! And you see me go like this.
Right,
like, whoa, I ain't doing that no more.
So are you thinking to yourself, oh, man, if I could have a losing streak, I could be in the company for a long time doing this gimmick, right?
Yeah, well, Luna, they wanted me to wrestle Edge. And I was like, well, we're making fun of the guy, right? And they're like, yeah. I said, well, why don't you give me Luna Vachon? And Luna's going, no, Dwayne, this is wrong. No. I said, Luna, come on, man. I said, be for real, you probably kick my ass in real life. And if you knew Luna, she would kick my ass in real life. So I said, let's do it. And then finally she said, okay.
I know someone who can give you Israeli jiu-jitsu lessons in case you ever need to.
But in the middle of the match, if you remember, right in the middle of the match, we ran in, like she whipped me into the ropes, so we ran and we stopped right in the middle, and she went, I forgot. And I just went, ball shot. Because that's the first thing that came to me. And she dropped down, and she went, pow, and smacked my ass so hard. But when she did, I grabbed her arm with my legs and held on to it. She's going, let go, you son of a bitch. You better let go of me. You better let go of me right now. I'm going, ow! Right in her face. And she's going, I'm going to kill you. I swear I'm going to kill you. And as I fell over, she's going, I'm going to kill you. I swear you're dead, baby. Yeah, but I was so glad and honored to do that with her. I really was. She made me, you know what I mean? She did that for me. You know? If I wouldn't have wrestled her, I don't think none of this would have worked.
Who came up with the sparklers?
Actually, WWE.
I
didn't come up with sparklers. They came up with that.
That was hilarious.
What was the most you each got paid for one match?
Ooh.
Me, I walked out to the King of the Ring, walked in and went, got pushed out and made $25,000.
Jesus Christ.
That's
41 seconds.
For one back.
41 seconds, brother. 41 seconds.
I don't like to say.
Man, we should have been wrestlers.
I don't like
Throw
to
me
say.
at it for 1 second.
What do you got?
I don't like to say exact numbers, but WrestleMania. I was on WrestleMania, very blessed and fortunate, and it was around what he's saying for WrestleMania. And all I did was I'd walk Carmella to the ring. I took one bump from Becky Lynch, which I mean, you're taking a bump at WrestleMania. It does not get any bigger than that.
You do it for free.
Yeah,
You ain't gonna feel it anyway because you're so
75,000 people in Orlando.
Right.
But yeah, it was around. It's they again. They pay you very well. That's why I laugh at these guys that say they don't.
That's what I'm trying to say. These guys, they go to war, these wrestling experts, about
God,
how
do they ever?
wrestlers are being robbed by the evil Vince McMahon.
But they've never wrestled. They've never had the contract. I can't go up to a baseball player like Judge, right?
Yeah.
That plays for the Yankees. I can't go, well, he's being mistreated or he's been being treated like a god. I don't know because I've never been in his shoes.
Right.
I don't know how to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball because I've never batted in the major leagues. So when these experts, and I don't hate them, I think a lot of them are doing a great job of making money because they're working people just like wrestlers.
Sure.
And good for them. And that's good for them. But at the same time, if you've never done it, if you've never batted and been thrown a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and hit it and know how to hit it, it's the same thing with any profession. If you've never done it, you can't. There's no way you can really, truly understand it.
Well, because I saw your face when we were speaking about the wrestler. And that's like the dark side of the guy who just blew his life away and is stuck trying to figure out a way to make a dime.
Messed everything up.
But the reality is, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
More people do more.
Well, you know why that movie, I touched on it earlier, was very real to me? Because it reminded me so much of Axel, and I was a friend of Axel. And Axel made money in the business. He went around the world, Japan, everywhere, the ECW, and he had a WWE contract in his lap, and he
had a couple of them.
Yeah, and it didn't work out, and he did TNA hardcore. Remember they did that ECW TNA show? He was on that, and TNA was going to offer him a contract with balls, and he's had plenty of opportunities, but he winded up like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler because he was addicted to stuff, and and he couldn't do another job because when you're a performer, a wrestler, it's hard to go back to being a regular person. I personally haven't done it yet. I still do very well in the indies and selling merchandise. I'm very blessed. But I could, I'm going to try to invest my money where I don't have to because I couldn't imagine not doing this.
But that's a great point, right? It's like you were talking earlier when you met Gil, right? It's like he's turning a light bulb. It's got to be hard to go from being seen by millions of people and people worshiping you.
Brother, I'm not going to lie to you. I say to him, I go, you are a cheap son of a bitch. And I go, but I'm not putting you down, brother, because I wish I would have did what you're doing.
I saved the money for my kids.
I wish I would have saved my money. I swear to God, I would be on Easy Street right now.
It's for my kids. I truly just want them to make. I'm
making
sure they're always okay.
He's a great father and all, man. He really is an awesome person. If you knew the person like I know him, you'd be like, wow, that's James Ellsworth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you were saying, though, and what gets me, too, is when the wrestlers complain about what they're getting paid for. Hey, bro, 6 months ago, weren't you just driving
for Uber
200 miles and making $75, but you spent $125 to make the 75? And now you're making $30,000 a match and you're complaining?
Well, if you're on the WWE main roster, you're making six figures.
Yeah.
But here's my question. Here's a solid question. A lot of you guys have lots of money, right? Why do you guys continue to do shows like this or
because
traveling?
It's the love, brother.
Well,
the love.
Not only the love,
it's everything.
I could sit around for years and watch all my money go bye-bye, or I could still make money and keep going and save as much money as possible.
Yeah, but I mean, couldn't you take some of the money that you invest, that you have, invest it, open a business, maybe run a business?
Yes, you could.
Or is it that you're addicted that people love you?
What did he just say? I can't see myself going back to the working life.
Right.
This is what I do.
And to your point,
for me, it was a hell of a transition to go from being on the road 28 days a month, man, wrestling everywhere, to, okay, now let's get up 4 o'clock in the morning, let's get the truck started, and let's load up the tools and go out inside the house. You know what I mean?
Like, I still make a good living wrestling. Like, when I do indie shows, like, I have 3 things this weekend to do. I had a show yesterday, this today, and then I have another thing tomorrow. So, like, I'm still doing well, like, making money off of wrestling.
What about the psychology of it, right? You were talking about being famous, but now both of you played in huge stadiums, 70,000, 100,000. You go to an indie show, 50 people, 10 people, 20 people.
That's just the business.
But that doesn't play on your psyche at all. It's like, whatever.
No, I love to perform. I have so much fun when I'm in the ring performing, doing my character. I love the James Ellsworth character. James Ellsworth, he went from being like a baby face that was just so happy to be there and so full of life, and he'll fight anybody and give it a chance. Any man with 2 hands will fight you. Then, like, he was with Carmella, and what was that movie that the guy, there was the nerdy guy that paid the girl
Can't Buy Me Love.
Can't Buy Me Love.
Yeah.
That's what that character was. He paid the girl, the prettiest girl in high school, to pretend to date him. And then he felt like, because everybody else started giving him attention because he was dating the prettiest girl. Now he felt like he was the man. He felt like he was really this hot guy. So once James Ellsworth was Carmella for a while, that's what James Ellsworth felt like. That she changed his clothes and now he has this swag and he thinks he's like this hot guy now. That's what it reminded me of. So I just love playing characters like that. And when I do it on indie shows, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's 50 people or 50,000. I've been in front of both. I just love getting a reaction out of those people by using the art form of professional wrestling, because I think professional wrestling is the greatest art form and the most unique art form in the world.
I love it.
Wow. With that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. James, real quick question for you. If you were older and you started professional wrestling, saying back in the 70s or early 80s, do you think the James Ellsworth character would have been ever given a chance by, say, an Ole Anderson or a Vince Sr., or do you think it just...
I don't know, you had Sam Houston back in the day, right?
What's that?
Sam Houston. You had Sam Houston. You don't know Sam Houston?
Of course I know.
But that's what I'm saying. So he was a smaller guy. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like, me personally, I would somehow find a way. Like I did this day and age. I mean, like I don't look like, you got to be GQ. You got to look like a model.
Do you think you would have made the money you made?
I try to be confident.
Not that amount.
I mean,
not that amount.
No.
To me, like, I just never in my mind thought I wasn't going to make it.
Right.
So, I don't care what era it was. I feel like I would have found a way.
Wow, we pinned Bob Backlund 3 times. I can't Bob Backlund.
Back in that era, you also had Dory Funk, you had Pat Patterson. You know what I mean?
Sure.
All those, they're all small guys.
I'm smaller than them, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously nobody knows because I wasn't in that era, but I would like to think I would have definitely gave it a chance.
Speaking of eras, Gilbert, can you compare the wrestling back in the Attitude Era to the wrestling you've seen in recent days, even leading up to your retirement?
No, you can't compare it. You can't compare it.
Okay, tell me why.
Nothing.
What are the differences?
It's nothing like it was in the Attitude Era.
Give me some examples.
To me, all I see is it's basically. There's no camaraderie like what used to be. Everybody's trying to cut everybody's throat. Back in the day, it was a brotherhood, man. I mean, you didn't say stuff. You didn't do nothing. What was in that locker room was in that locker room, bro. That's it.
Internet ruined everything?
It ruined everything as far as I'm concerned.
I can see it.
But at the same time, it helps the independent wrestler out because you get the contact with the fans, like your show.
Yeah.
Without your show, we
right.
can't get in touch with the fans, and without fans, there is no us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's wrong with wrestling today. There's no fans. That's why it's going brrr. You need the crowd. You need the fans. Just watching this stuff, they're dying.
Do you feel that Corona could ultimately cripple and put a stop to pro wrestling in general on television? I mean,
No, I don't
how
think you'll
severe are we
ever
talking
stop
here
pro
with the COVID?
wrestling.
I mean, there's no live crowds. What are you saying as far as the COVID?
We're gonna be okay in a little bit here. That's my belief. I don't,
Where did the wrestling fan change, though? Right? So you grew up, right? We grew up on Bob Backlund.
Yeah.
Don Morocco, Bob Backlund. Greatest
Valentine.
matches
Don't forget
we talk about it all the time. I can't go back to the network and watch them anymore because they're just not as good as I remember them being.
I have no problem
But it's
doing
like,
that.
when did it turn that, wrestling became what it is now?
Women's movement.
No,
Women's movement.
He's big on that women's.
You
No,
gotta
I'm
speak
saying
up,
that's when
I worked with
that's
the women,
when
so
the
I have
whole
faith,
business
like-
turned. That's when the business turned,
heart
I
to them.
think, and started like not being the business, not being it's not really nobody really sells. You see 85 moves that should kill somebody.
Right.
In a match, and they kick right out and come up and start punching.
But what
Come
does that,
on, man.
what does that have to do with the women's movement? Though?
Right, yeah.
But that's when
I'm
it
getting
all
hot
really
now.
started.
Might
That's
be a
when it all
fight.
really started. That's when it all really started.
You know what I think happened? Like, here's my theory. So in the Attitude Era, right? Like, we have Stone Cold whipping his boss. We have The Rock like saying all these great catchphrases and all this.
You got
cool,
the Nation of Domination,
Right.
like all this
Which
cool
would go-
stuff, right? All this
you
cool
couldn't
stuff.
do today.
So now it's PG. You can't follow that. You can't follow a badass guy flipping off his boss and beating up his boss. You can't follow The Rock saying all kinds of calling people hermaphrodites.
Right.
So like I think
Poontang pie.
I think the ratings war in the 90s between WCW and WWF, like they had to outdo each other and they had to go to that limit and push that button to outdo each other and I don't think you can
But why
follow
can't
it.
you now? Why can't you now?
You can't. It's
Bleeding heart.
we live in an era where that cannot
you can't
happen.
say that. You can't
but
do
you know,
that.
the thing
No,
that
you-
we
you
had-
hurt
we had
this
Justin
person's
Credible in here,
feelings.
and he
what
was
happened
saying-
to a joke?
Well, but Justin
Right.
Credible
I agree with
was
you.
saying, look, if he was in charge, he would push the envelope a little. So
Right.
I asked him the question. I said, okay, you're both running an organization, right? You're running the WWE
Pushing the
right now.
envelope, keep in
You have
mind,
your corporate
okay?
sponsors, and I'm your writer. And I go, hey,
And you
James,
say-
Gil, I got this great idea. Tell me what you think about this, because this is going to be a home run.
You're gonna love this.
We have a interview show where the host is going to make fun of someone's
Ethnic background.
hit him with bananas, and then finally hit him over the head with a coconut.
Sound familiar, guys?
What do you think? What do you think about that?
You can't do that anymore. Yeah.
Today, soon as you said ethnic background,
Right.
done.
Because Justin, who was just
Done.
saying I would get more aggressive when he threw that by him, just was like, I'm not doing that. Well, guess what? That's why we're never going to have what we used to have.
But I think there's ways you can make. I do think there's ways that you can make stuff more interesting. Like I was watching. Like I'll give you an example. Like I love playing poker in my head. It's just fun for me.
Right.
Like
Sure.
I ultimately maybe want to write a book somewhere big one day. That's maybe another goal of mine.
Cool.
So like I'm watching like NXT, right? And it's hard for NXT. You know what's hard for NXT? As soon as people get over on NXT and become popular, and people are tuning in to see them,
They bring
go
them up.
They're going to the main roster. Like Matt Riddle's like the latest one, who's very popular, very
awesome.
good, very
Yeah.
entertaining.
like
I mean, he is a complete star, and now
Yep.
he's on SmackDown. He's away from NXT.
But WWE fans are going, who is that?
Right? It's like it's different. So like Keith Lee and Karrion Kross are feuding right now,
Right.
and I'm watching it, and like they're doing these things where Karrion Kross is popping up on the screen, and you know Keith Lee's in the ring. They did the whole Rocky Drago thing where Dijakovic's getting choked out by
He dies.
And he died. They did that whole thing, which was cool, right? So, man, like I was like, man, I hope they like followed up with next week with something like this, where Keith Lee comes out and he wants, he sits a chair in the ring and he wants Cross in the ring right now. He's not leaving.
Okay.
And Cross comes out, and they get into a brawl, right? You have like the security run out, and Keith Lee and Karrion Kross destroy all the security guards. All the other wrestlers, come out. The wrestlers come out, and they're trying to break them up. And Keith Lee and Kross destroy all the wrestlers. Then you have police, and they're beating up the police, and here comes the SWAT team, and they tase them. Yeah, they tase them.
The chopper down.
Right, and they arrest Keith Lee and Kross, and they're putting them in the car, and it's a big. And that's how you start the show, right? And then at like 9 o'clock, the commentators are going, we're getting word that Kross and Lee posted their bail. They're on their way back to Full Sail.
I like this. Go on.
And then at like 9:55, they both pull up. They get out of the car. They start again, and it's just chaos.
Right.
And then you end the show with them fighting the park. You're like, what happened? I got to tune in next week. Stuff like that, because that has that's PG.
Yep.
You're not hurting anybody. You're not throwing bananas or coconuts or
What about that unbelievable brawl before WrestleMania with the ladies on
Yes, yeah, the Ronda Rousey
with the glass breakage and all the other
stuff
stuff
like that.
That was
great.
fantastic.
Stuff like that you can do, And I wish, because I'm a big fan of Karrion Kross. I think he's going to be a huge star. Scarlett too,
huge.
And
out of his mind over
Keith Lee is awesome. I think he's
Isn't he?
And in a year they're going to be on Raw or SmackDown. You know what I mean? That's what's hard for NXT. AEW, they have huge stars. They have Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Matt Hardy, Cody Rhodes. Luke Harper.
WWE,
again, trying to build an organization with old stars.
I'm just saying, it's going to.
Where is their Goldberg?
It's always going to be hard for NXT to beat them in the ratings because they don't have that star power.
But in
they
long
gotta
term,
create one like Goldberg.
In long term,
gotta create one.
NXT wins because these older stars are gonna. Jericho goes away, it goes away.
No. So my point is when they get over on NXT, these stars, they go away, and then you have to start over. You have to push the reset button and get the other guys.
Because I think Gil said it right. The minute they go up, they go, "Who are these?" Because NXT.
They don't realize that NXT fans are different than WWE fans.
Yeah,
they don't realize that. They think, we're all the same products. We can just go ahead, they'll know it. And then people are like, well, who is that?
Well, but let me ask you this, though, right? So they do this angle where The Fiend attacks Alexa Bliss, right? Kind of a little bit racy for this time and going somewhere. Last night, they just dropped the ball on it again. They did nothing.
I didn't see last night, but
they had her sitting there, and that was it.
To me, I felt like Alexa is under some kind of spell or something, and she's we're thinking. I think people would mark out and pop for her being Sister Abigail.
Absolutely.
So Bray, she thinks she's Sister Abigail, and Braun's like, no, Alexa, this isn't you, Alexa. He's trying to talk some sense into her, but she's under that.
But they went with the Braun angle of saying, I don't care about her.
Really?
I'm going after you. And I was like,
did he say he didn't care about it?
He says flat out, I don't care. But you think I care about it?
A babyface one say, see, that's,
No, now he's turning into the bad guy again, the original monster among men.
I still believe that that's just the smoke screen, what he said. They're going to lead.
But I was, to me, anybody could play Couch
Her.
Booker. But to me, I thought she should be under Bray Wyatt's spell, and she thinks she's Sister Abigail. And I think fans were when she did the thing at was it Extreme Rules, where she they showed her when Braun Strowman, people thought she was Sister Abigail right there.
Yeah,
and people were into that.
Absolutely.
I'm like, you take that and run with it because this is a reinvention of Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss everybody loves Alexa Bliss. She's very popular, but this is something different you can do with her.
This is the one power of social media we didn't have back in the early
days. I think she's awesome.
You can read and see what people are excited about and react off it and actually change your script. Listen, guys, I want the fans to know a little bit about yourselves. So, Gil, can you tell people about your family and your grandchildren?
Yeah. I'm 62. I'm married. Been with my wife 41 years. I got one granddaughter. I have a son and a daughter. They're both married. Doing great. I'm happy. I work construction every day. I was just telling Jimmy I'm working 6 12s and an 8 every week.
Nice.
Man.
So, that'll keep you in shape. Then go home and work out at night.
Anybody in the family want to be a pro wrestler?
I don't want none of them to be.
Don't you dare.
I don't want none of them to be because of my body.
Okay.
My body is beat up, and it hurts. And
fair enough.
Like I say, they begged me to quit. It's what I do, and I love it with all my heart. And it kills me not to be a wrestler, and
James,
that's the truth.
Any shot of returning to WWE soon, maybe?
Well, you never say never. I would like to. I think there's a lot more you can do with the character. Like, I don't think the character is
With his dad?
Yeah, I don't think a character is
with his dad,
an every week character. But I think the character is something you can like you know, when they released me the first time, they brought me back 7 months later, and I did the stuff with Carmella and Asuka, and it got over again. So I think that is a character that like you can take a break from, and then when it comes like it's more powerful when it comes back. It gets that reaction other than being there every week and you're just another guy lost in the shuffle. I think it's a unique character where every now and then can pop up.
If Carmella came out and started cutting a promo, and then he come bouncing out with his hat and everything, that place would fall apart.
Oh, yeah.
You know it as well as I do. They would erupt, man.
Yeah, I'm a little more humble than that. I don't know what would happen. But
you know, the internet could say what they want the day after, but when he rushed up that ladder, that place went.
They were going berserk. So I think, well, no, when I'm climbing the ladder, they're going nuts. I think they wanted me to grab it and take off with it myself.
Oh, I would have.
So I think the heat was giving it to her, which was good. Which was good. But, you know, like you're talking about family, I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old daughter, and they absolutely love wrestling. And I'm big on women's wrestling because I see them watching Carmella, Bayley, Sasha, Alexa Bliss, and all. Like, they're fans, and they're drawing them into it. I hope they don't want to be wrestlers. I mean, they're already... it's sad. They already know how to lock up.
I hate to tell you, they're going to be wrestlers.
I hope not. But
they're going to be.
But they're very into it, and they're very into the women. That's cool to me. Like, and hopefully they just enjoy it as fans and continue to do so for the rest of their lives.
Have you thought about ever possibly being a manager on screen?
Absolutely 100%. I think that's something else. I would love to be a modern day Bobby Heenan or Jim Cornette or
Harvey Winslow.
Like, just get heat. Like, get heat.
I don't know, why did they get rid of the manager role?
Yeah, why?
Why do you feel
and why
that
can't we have
wrestling
another Gene
veered from
Okerlund?
that?
You know why?
They don't want to pay
more money. Why when I could pay you $150,000 a year to go out there, why do I have to pay this guy $150,000
But do you
too?
think it really helps?
Yes.
Wrestlers get over to have a faceless Barbie doll interviewing them instead of a Gene Okerlund?
No.
Would you guys,
I think the Gene Okerlund's better.
Like, you guys as fans was like Carmella, and Carmella's awesome, and I love everything she does, but when her and I are together, wasn't that very interesting?
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
good. No, you guys work together. It works well.
And I think, like, us separate is not as cool as us together.
I
like,
agree.
Well,
I do agree
it's
with that.
Clear, right? And I'm not
They're not
knocking
using her a
Carmella,
lot, right?
but as fans, or you read the internet, right? Carmella's probably not the stronger of the workers in the women's division.
In the ring, she's not considered obviously Charlotte
or Bayley or
Sasha
or
Bayley.
But by teaming her with you, made that character annoying, and you wanted to watch her, and you wanted to see you
heavyweight champion.
The package worked,
and it worked.
Bottom
She
line,
was champion. She was champion.
I think she was becoming before the pandemic. I think she was getting a lot better in the ring. She had a really good match with Bayley on SmackDown. It was sometime this year before the pandemic. Her and Bayley wrestled for the title in SmackDown. And if you go back and watch that, it was very good. And I was like, holy crap.
I'm not saying she's bad.
No, she's not. No, nobody thinks she's bad.
Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte. They're like there's a big gap.
They're awesome. Man, and it goes back to, I think superstars are superstars. That not matter, women or man. Like, Bayley and Sasha had one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life at NXT Brooklyn Takeover.
Amazing.
That match, I'll put that match against any match ever. That match was amazing.
Classic.
And that's got to be hard for writers, too, because you don't want to give out too much when you don't have any fans, right? So you got these really good storylines, and you really don't want to let them out too much because you don't want to waste it.
Yeah, but they need them right now because they don't even have the revenue of the live crowds. They've got to keep the ratings up. They need to write as well as possible. They should be putting on I think they should be thinking Hollywood right now. Like what we saw with AJ and Taker.
That was really good.
How great was that?
Really good.
But you can only do that with Taker, man. You can't do it with others.
You can't do that every week.
Come on, man. You can't do that theater stuff with other superstars. Taker's believable.
Right. Can we agree on this? You cheapen the sport when you do this. Regardless,
you
did it, but like you said, Tessa Blanchard, Brian Cage, you cheapen the sport when you allow that type of stuff to happen. You throw a guy off the top of the corporate building, and he's back.
Well, here's my question to you.
Like
I said, I'm not against Tessa Blanchard and Brian Cage wrestling because when I'm watching Batman and Catwoman are fighting, right?
Okay, but
like it's a show,
right?
but
I'm not. Look,
But Catwoman's not going to take Batman out.
Batman fuck Catwoman?
No, she's going to strap him on a roof with a magnifying glass, and then there's someone's
I
going to melt both of them.
I never saw Batman fight Catwoman.
He did fight. But Batman returned.
You never punch Catwoman.
No, what Catwoman used to do, though, was she used
Scratch
to
him?
kick. She had that kick. Catwoman could kick people.
And I don't think Batman ever hit her.
I'm not
No,
against
he
that. I
never-
don't think
they
they went
never
at it. See, I personally am not against intergender wrestling. I just wanted to make sense. Like if, like I said, if
going
I
to
was
Batman?
booking that match, Brian Cage and Tessa, I have a match and Brian Cage would win. But I wouldn't. Like I'm not against the match happening. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, one time. You can't keep doing it again.
No, you
and
can't
again
keep
and again.
doing everything again. Like I thought, like. You know, as much as I love to have on my resume that I beat AJ Styles 3 times, like I thought they kept going to that too. Like I was like, why does this keep happening? Like the first time was funny,
'Cause it was good.
Ambrose was the rep, but it popped a good rating, and that's the cool thing. Each time AJ and I did anything,
dude, you made AJ Styles fans pull their hair out each time you won.
Right.
You were supposed to be irritating
Yeah,
the
I
crap out
got
of
to
them,
agree.
and you did. They were
I'm
like,
glad they kept going back.
Yeah,
because there was a
I
point
thought it
that
was good.
I'm like, are they going to give this guy the belt? Are they going to figure out a way to put the
'Cause it looked
strap around
believable.
this guy?
it was and AJ was so cool to work with. Like when I hit the kick on him in the title match, and like for that, I think we got the people for that couple of seconds. Like when I hit the kick, they thought I was going to win.
You got me.
Killer kick, by the
And
way.
it was like that was the coolest
Well done.
moment of my career. But like I was like, man. But so when they kept doing it, I was like, oh, they. I don't know. I was having fun. I loved working with AJ.
would've
AJ to
said
me
no.
is the best performer in the world, wrestler, best
In-ring.
like
I
in-ring
agree.
performer. Nobody can touch him. In my humble opinion,
I think you're right.
There's no such thing as the best wrestler in the world because it's all opinionated. There's no such thing as the greatest match
Right.
in the world. It's all opinionated. So, like, there's no right or wrong with anything. It's all just based on opinion. Is what I'm trying to say. And to my opinion, AJ is the best. And so I loved working with him. I hope someday they do it again just to revisit it.
Oh, yeah.
But
we
yeah,
got,
I mean,
we got 1 minute left, so I'm just
Okay.
going to ask both of you guys. Who is the greatest wrestler of all time?
Ooh.
Shawn Michaels. It didn't take me too long. That's,
Shawn Michaels.
I'm not, okay, let me make it clear. Not wrestler, just wrestler, whether it be mic skills, everything. The
Yeah,
a
entire
total package of a worker.
Period. The worker, the greatest one
Everything
that
factored
meant
in.
everything to pro wrestling.
To me, it would be Stone Cold Steve Austin. He drew the most money. He sold the most shirts. He
drew more. He drew more than Hogan.
Yes, his not overall because Hogan had a longer run, but he broke all of Hogan's records. Yes.
Gil, what do you think?
It's man, you know, you're talking overall worker, man. There's so many people back, you know.
Fabulous Moolah?
What about Bruno?
Yeah. I mean, come on.
But
What about Bruno?
So your opinion, Bruno Sammartino, the greatest of all time.
I mean, how many years did he
Hard
hold
to
that company
argue.
together?
Yeah, what a body of
And
work.
Backlund, look at Backlund. How many years was Backlund champion?
Can you guys even fathom being the generations that you guys both shined in? Can you even fathom that somehow Bruno Sammartino held a belt for 8 years? When you see title changes, from your times
And
in
back
the
in
business,
them days, dude, when they
is that
beat the
like so
hell out of
unrealistic
each
to even
other.
compute to you,
I
James?
like long title reigns. I think.
Yeah,
I
believe in it.
I think it means more when they get beat because it's long. And you know what I hate when the U.S. champion or the tag team champions get beat all the time in non-title matches.
Right.
I'm like, so it means less when you actually get beat for the title.
Well,
because
that was used back in the day where they were trying to push an angle that the champion would lose in that non-title match. You're like, they do too much. You're right.
There's too much of it.
Stuff over.
Every now, like Demolition, for instance, never lost a non-title tag match to my recommendation.
Right.
Like I don't remember that happening, but like I think like Shawn Michaels. Remember he lost to Tatanka twice. Like in non-title matches, then they had the Mania match, and I thought the payoff was going to be Tatanka was going to win the title, but then Tatanka won again by a count out. And so I think that's when it started to begin, and like as far as back as I can remember, is like right around that era, 92, 93, maybe when the non-title victory started happening.
But they cheapened a lot of the belts, right? We were huge Intercontinental Champion fans, and they destroyed that belt.
I think AJ is going to be a great Intercontinental Champion and put it back on the map. And I mean, he's wrestling Matt Riddle.
AJ's awesome.
He is. Like
So's Matt Riddle, not for nothing. I think Matt Riddle's going to be a big-time star.
Yeah, he's going to be a big star.
He looks like
he
a Von Erich.
Yes. He looks like a Von Erich, but there's something about him that reminds you of Michaels for some reason.
Oh, the
his cockiness.
charisma, the arrogance.
His cockiness.
Like
Vince has gone on record saying that
I
this is my
wrestled
next
Riddle
Shawn.
on the Indies. I had a match with him, and it was so fun, man. And I knew, I was like, God, this guy's going to be a star. And I was like, what are you doing on the Indies? Why aren't you in like NXT yet or something?
Right.
But it was by his choice, though, and he's great. I love him. Good
All right.
time.
Well, we want to thank you guys for joining.
Well,
what a
hey,
great
guys,
interview.
thanks for having
Really
us. Thank
appreciate it.
you.
We want to remind everybody out there that after this, we're going to take a short break, and then we go back on air with a live auction with Gillberg and James Ellsworth. This is going to be real exciting. Promoted by ESS Promotion. Yeah, come on in. Come on over here. Hurry up.
Oh, there he is.
That's no
The man
BS,
himself.
Hero ESS. And right after this, about 5 o'clock, we're going to do Facebook Live with Gillberg and James Ellsworth. So I want everybody to join us right here on the Eric Sims Facebook page. You've seen all my auctions. Now we're going to do it with some talent. We're going to have some fun with them tonight. And coming up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, August 29th, we got Al Snow. We got Doink the Clown and Dink the Clown. Two interviews on Monte and the Pharaoh. And then Facebook Live with both of those. And as a special guest at the nighttime, the man who rules the world, Psycho Sid, right here for an interview and for Facebook Live, and that is on August the 29th. So join us, please.
All right, with that, I've held my breath because I don't want to catch corona. Facebook, Monte the Pharaoh's on Facebook Live,
What if he
Monte the
farts?
Pharaoh
Can you catch
page,
it then?
iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Channel 115 every Tuesday from 8:30 to 9 p.m. where you'll see these two gentlemen in the reduced version, television.
Abbreviated.
Every Saturday, 6 to 6 a.m. on Channel 115 and Channel 120, Channel 20 at 1:30 a.m. All right, I want to thank you guys again. This is Mike Monte.
This is the Pharaoh. Stay tuned for the auction, and until then, later.